All right, hey guys, welcome to my first Facebook lesson online here. I'm excited to go through a few concepts, a few ideas, a few workout drills that we can do. As everyone knows, I love kata, I love bunkai, so of course I'll incorporate some of that into today's lesson. First thing that I want to do is address this, what I call the compass on the floor. I do suggest, if possible, get some of those puzzle mats, use painter's tape if you can, and just set yourself up a compass. It has your center line, your cross line, and then two 45s. The reason why this can be a helpful tool as a beginner, and then later on when you're working more advanced as well, is because it can help you with your footwork and your foot patterning with stances. So, center of the compass is our center of gravity, and then when we branch out to do our front stances, our kibadachis, it helps us keep our feet in line. So on my horizontal line here, I can make sure my toes are touching. There I am, I'm in a good stance. If I need to switch to a Zen stance and I move my foot and I shift, I'm going to shift to my 45-degree line, the one on the angle. Now I know that I'm in a nice sturdy stance. If I start to get too narrow and I come into the spaces of the line, this is when I start throwing punches and I know I'm off balance. So it works really well as a tool to know how to step out, how to step back, and get into nice strong stances. It will also work when we start cutting corners, right? So in our katas, for example, I'll take Shoden, we've got from our high block, our back foot then comes up to the center of the compass, step back on the 45-degree angle, and turn. It allows us to start to measure where our feet are. So a really good drill to start working. And then I would just do stance work and walk. Start with your foot on and at the back of the compass. Now shift in to the center, out to the corner. And just work that footwork to start. Shifting in and out. When you're ready, go to the other side. Shift in and out. When you want, drop to kibadachi, come back up. Drop to kibadachi, come back up. Drop into your stance. Check. So foot's on the line, foot's outside of the line. Probably not my best stance. Come back up, reset. On and on. I feel good now. All right, so I can start moving through and making sure that I'm in a nice balanced stance. So, when we're doing our kata pieces, a lot of times we think of this compass as all the different ways that an enemy can attack us or an opponent can attack us. We have to defend ourselves. So I start on that center line, and I think an opponent's coming in on this side, and I do my block. Then I do my strike. Then I take my foot and I get it over onto that corner. And I spin and I block. Come back up to the center line. Step out punch. Again, notice how I'm using the compass to guide my stance work. Now, when you do your kata, I don't want you to think of opponent, 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 opponent. I want you to think of him being in the middle. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's take Hinen Ninen for an example. Okay? If I come through on Niden and I do my block and I strike, I hope that's a finishing strike because I now change direction. Alright? And then I change direction and I kick and then I step out. I'm using my lines, but at any time, I don't know where someone's going to be coming from at the end. So if I take those corners, for example, I've done my Nugate, my shudos, and then I just abandon those shudos, and then there's someone coming in on this direction. What happened to the rest of the opponents that I was dealing with? I don't always finish them off. Right? Shoden, come through, finish on a high block. Now I look over my shoulder. What's that guy doing? Is he just waiting while I defend myself against all those other guys? Probably not. Alright, so that's where I don't want you to think of it as multiple. I want you to think of it as one opponent. Meet Bob, my one opponent. Now, it's not me in the center of the compass. Now it's Bob in the center of the compass. And I'm actually going to turn Bob just to film it better. So everything I do in my kata now should be focused around one person, not 8 people around me. So when I start off my kata, whether it be Sandan, Yodan, Godan, Chodan, Shodan, any of them, I think of it as single person. All right? So let's continue on what I would do as Pina Nidan. Pina Nidan starts off with me doing it in this direction. But it doesn't mean an opponent's coming from the side. It means get beside that person. So I start off, it doesn't say how to move, but it says get over here. Now I'm offline to where his attack is, but he's in line to where my attack needs to be. Now I can do my next movement. Right into Bob. All right? When we have in the kata, it comes around and shoulder from behind, kicking and moving. It's not saying that I need to fight someone behind me. It's showing that once I've done my movements, I need to get behind them, throw my kick, whether it be into the knee, all right, just as the takedown. If that doesn't work, get back, do that shudo. We have our 245 degrees that we usually do, all right, our angles that we cut on. When we're doing these, it's cutting the angle of him. His arms are up, right? He's protecting, he's throwing punches. I'm gonna come close to the camera. My arms are up. Is coming and throwing an attack straight into me the easiest way to strike me? Probably not. Now, if you moved 45 degrees, angle that way, you get this nice opening. Okay? So, I'm throwing punches, I'm coming in, but you step off to the side, I'm no longer hitting where you are, and you've got a nice line opening to come in on me. Those are what our cornered angles are talking about in the kata. They're talking about ways to get around this person, to get here. Lock him, shoot him or her. Lock, come in, strike. Okay, so the compass in the beginning works well for our stance work and learning good balance points and knowing where we need to be. And then after that, it works really well to imagine our opponent there and all of the movements that we do. Okay, a punch comes in, I do a block, I do anything, I react. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, whether I come up and it's a punch or I come up and it's a head crank, lots of options that we have. Okay, so hope that helps you visualize it. So the next piece that I want to do is actually talk about shadowboxing. Shadowboxing is great for our footwork, good for our techniques, and a great way to practice while we're at home, as long as we don't go into a lot of space, right? There's usually things around us that we have to watch out for. But we can be really nice and tight and start to move everything that we need, duck. We can keep nice and tight and do a lot of shadowboxing in a very small space. What I would like you to do is use shadowboxing and kata and combine it. All right, so rather than shadowboxing, it's going to be kata boxing. And kata boxing is imagining those principles that we just talked about with Bob over here, using the angles and building them into our drill. So, we're going to start off from that defense, that fight stance, that, oh, something's happening, something's gone wrong. A duck and cover position. Okay, so if I do a duck and cover, my next move better be to grab a hold. All right, and then I'm going to set, prepare, fish underneath, grab a hold of that arm. There's that first move. Step through on a punch, get around the head, pull them down, strike, punch again. There's an exact mimic of our Shodan drill, but done in a boxing form. Duck, cover. 1, 2, 3, 4. How would it work with our buddy? I get attacked, something happens, oh no, I'm stuck. First thing I'm gonna do, get a hold. Now we have a few different options before the kata actually starts. An elbow, all right? We can drive a knee in if we want. I like from here, taking my shoulder in, 1, 2. Now prepping it up, I come around where his arm would be, fish it, drive the punch, come around the head. The low block is my throw. I'm turning the head this way. Down, controlling, punching. Okay, so again, move around, shift. I'm getting pulled, I get attacked, something happens. I control it. I hit, I hit, I hit. I move, I strike, I grab, I throw. Finish them off. Really tight space when I'm practicing my katas. Okay, we have katas where we go on the 45-degree angle, where I come, block, punch, block, punch. Same idea. Think of it as control the arm. Grab that arm from over here. There, it's outside their body. Move it down, throw your punch. And then practice the other way. Grab that arm, move it down, throw the punch. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2. Throw extra things in there, because why not? Move around, get boxing. Take your kata, build it into your shadow boxing. So I'm going to talk about kata as being an alphabet, all right, where each move is basically a letter. So if I learn a low block, that could be my A. All right, if I learn a high block, that could be my B. Punch is C, kick is D. Okay, we learn our letters first, then we put them together into an alphabet. We learn the alphabet song, right? So it's the A, B, C, right? So I've got A, B, C, D. There's our kata. But we don't talk, we don't practice, we don't communicate in just ABCs. All right, we need to know what the letters sound like. Okay, so A could sound like A or it could sound like A. So that block could be a blocking motion of a punch coming in. It could be taking someone's arm and pulling it down. Same movement, different sounds, different purpose. All right, now what we do is we take all those different letters and we put them together to form words. And as we communicate in words and as we do that, that's our real life application. Okay, so I learned this was A, and then I learned this is A, this is B, and I learned my alphabet. Then I learned that, well, this could actually be someone holding and pulling down on an arm, and my high block could actually be a strike across to the nose. So I learned the different applications, then I put together my words. Okay, multiple bits of katas put together, that's our language. So don't get stuck on it has to be done this way because this is the way the kata shows it. That's just the alphabet song. Now go out and play with all the different techniques. Okay, so far you've listened to me talk a lot about kata and how to use it and how to interpret it and some of the movements. You know, and I've given you a few ideas and I've taken just a couple movements from each, or for a couple of the katas anyways. But what about some good drills that you can do? And I know this is more of an information session, less you doing it and practicing it right as I'm on screen with you. But let's go through some drills that you can get your heart rate going really quickly beyond our kata boxing that we've learned about. Some of our favorite ones that work really well. And the first one that I like is called the clock drill. And the clock drill is a way to practice our kicks, and you can adjust it based on the kicks that you want to do and based on levels of difficulty. But we're going to do each kick 3 times. Okay? The first kick that I would like to start with is my front kick. All right? And the way to think of it is that we start and work our way around the clock angles. So we come up as if it was a number 6, and then come across, and then the 9, and then on an angle, and then straight down, and then the next angle, and then the side and the angle. So we work our way around the clock of all the different angles that we have to kick on. Front kick is our straight angle, right? Our straight up and down. So we're going to be from that defense stance, that fighting stance, and that every time we do a kick, we're going to step up to our center line, kick, and step back. Okay, I'm going to angle it just for the sake of it. So the first 3 we're going to do is that front kick. 1, step down, 2, step down, 3. Next one that we're going to do is cutting in on that bottom angle, and I'm going to do a 3/4 roundhouse. Okay, so it's not where we step up and come straight across as our round, but I'm going to take my angled round. Here, fast kick. All right, so those are the next 3 that we do. Angle, 1, 2, 3, then straight round. Now remember when I said we can take the drill and make it more difficult? When we do the angle from top corner down, we can choose which kick we want to do. We can do our crescent kicks, okay, which is slightly easier to do, cuts the angle, or we can come across and do our downward roundhouse kick. Okay, some call it tomahawk, some call it butterfly. All right, so when we do that, stepping up each time. So you step up and crescent, or step up, angle, and back. And do that. Next one from our top down, we're going to do our axe kick. So we come up, axe kick, down. Next, we're going to do either our opposite direction crescent kick or a 3/4 hook kick. So we take our hook kick down on the angle. Step back down. We're going to repeat that 3 times. Next one we're going to do is our straight hook kick. So it comes across parallel to the ground. Straight horizontal line. Step down, do that 3 times. Then we're going to do our flick kick, where we come up. This is the angle coming on this direction. And drive, okay? Get your hip involved, but it comes up, turns over, cuts. So there's our whole way around the clock. And you're going to repeat each kick 3 times. So hands up, front kick to start. 3/4 round. Straight round. Into your crescent, or your tomahawk, axe kick. Hook kick on the angle. Or you can do the other crescent. Straight hook. Flick. Heart rate up. Practice all the kicks on one leg. Switch around, do it on the other. All right, let's do a technique info session. So you may notice I use a lot of techniques differently, and our class that we do, the black belt out class, we start to explore different ways that a technique can be used. All right? We actually call all of these, when we're using our English terms, as blocks. All right? The Japanese translation, all right, is to receive. So it changes the meaning a little bit. So where we say block, well, it could be a block, depending on our application, right? Someone goes to grab a hold of me, they go throw a low technique. I could use it to come down and block that arm, right? That's our traditional sense of block. However, it could also be that this person's grabbed a hold with their one arm. Now try and visualize, because I know Bob doesn't have arms here, but it can be that idea that I come underneath their wrist and pull it down. It's the same technique. Right? I've controlled it, I've pulled it down, I've done that movement. It could be that they've gone to throw a punch, and this hand comes up as the actual block, right? This one could be punching low, and now the next movement could be grabbing a hold of an arm, a shirt, a hood, anything, and as I pull it back, I'm hitting into the side. So we have our touch points and drive, where the block is actually this motion, here, and I've hidden a punch. Oh, blocked them. Now grab. Strike. Okay, so that block becomes a hammer fist strike instead. Right? Lots of options. It could be that I've gotten in behind their legs and I've come in here. Now that blocking motion, I've trapped his leg, is tipping him over and taking him down. So now that low block, all right, is that motion of coming in and throwing the person backwards over that leg. All right, imagine getting in close to the person, driving them back as you've just stepped in front of or behind them. All right, so there's just a Gadambarai, right? Traditionally thought of as a block. So let's go through some of the other movements. What else can we do? Joden. All right, when we come through with our high block, again, it could be that overhand strike that we practice, and we come up and nice and strong, block above. All right, now I've got to do something to strike. All right, block above, come around in my forward directional, whatever it could be. Another really common one is the forearm strike up to the nose, right? So rather than think of it as blocking that arm, just take it, strike. Okay? The other hand, hikite, our pullback motion. It's important to talk about that, all right? Because we should never have a dead hand. All right? Why do I do this and pull it here? It is not ready to punch just in case I need to. I don't believe that to be true. Okay? There's nothing wrong with being prepared, but we see boxers and they keep their guard up, and they get a really strong punch when they go through with it from up here. So down here cannot be the only way to generate power. All right? So hikite is our pulling motion to move someone off balance or to take something away, to do limb control. So if this person's pushing on me, they're attacking, they're throwing a punch, I do any type of block, and I grab a hold of that arm, I want to pull that arm. What happens when I pull that arm forward? It takes them off balance, and they lean in. As they're leaning in, and I'm throwing my high block, it becomes that strike, okay? So the idea that I'm coming here, grabbing a hold and driving, now this hand has a purpose. Not only did my block become a strike, but I've now also added the force that it creates. I don't have to be really strong on one arm, because I'm going to grab him and I'm going to pull him in. That felt better. Okay, so start thinking of two hands on every motion that we're doing and what could be happening through. Other option can be an arm break, right? A destruction. So if I've got a hold of it and I step forward, we see this a lot in our katas, right? We've come from here and we step through. Okay? I could have that arm control that we talked about, and now as I step through, I'm aiming for the elbow joint and trying to do a destruction on it, hyperextend it. Okay, so there's just three movements that we could do on our block portion. All right? Our inside and outside blocks, turns can be reversed. I know I usually call them the opposite of to what you guys do. So, Uryuken Sori, okay, coming through. A lot of times we think of these as hitting into the elbows and then up to the face. So rather than that punch coming in and just me keeping distance, it's me coming up, the arm's there, and I'm hitting into that arm, up into that bicep, all right? Driving through, which can then allow for either a punch, or I use that hikate, that pulling motion, to strike, or I do that block, and it works really well to drive up and drive in on the elbow, okay? We see that when we're doing the go there. 1, 2, 3. All right? The idea that we come in from that low block, shifting around the head. This one just adds in that initial block, shifts in around that head. Okay? When we do our two-handed movements, 1, 2, think of this as being a hammer fist to the head, coming up to the side. So if I've got his arm here, my first movement, whether I defend, he's grabbed a hold, I trap, my first movement that I do, where I bring this hand down to that belt, is hitting into his elbow. If someone hits into your elbow, what happens? Your head gets jarred down. So I drive that arm down, his head comes forward, now I've got the side of the hand to come up with. So where I was just distancing, blocking, now in close, I can be driving weight, striking back. All right? Driving, grab, strike. So you can see that motion starts to be formed. I can also use that same thing to the back of the arm. So if it's a cross grab, it's coming across body. Right? I can come here, this is my trapping. And then as I pull that arm away from the grab, this arm comes to the back of the arm and hits onto the elbow. Right? So he's grabbed across, trap, hitting onto the arm. So lots of options that we can be doing with those block motions. All right, so think less of block, more of receiving their attack, and then do something with it afterwards. Let's get a little more advanced. Let's talk about our X block. Okay, again, block. When we do the X block, there's lots of applications. All right, so I'm going to start trying to call it an X technique. So the first thing is we usually think of it as someone throws that kick and we're blocking it. We're getting our body down, we're blocking our groin. All right, I like to think of what are the close applications here. Okay, if someone goes to throw a knee, yeah, maybe I could jam. I could probably come down and find a different way, get off center than just this block portion. All right, but what if I start to do a takedown? Okay, we see it in some of our katas where we come around this way. Our foot goes back, we're in a taisabaki, we drop our hips, and we throw that X, and then we continue to move through. If I've done a throw, and I've got that person, that punch, or that X, becomes a punch. I've controlled the gi, I've controlled the sweatshirt, the shirt, and now I'm using body weight in this way to gain power, as this becomes my punch across face. Okay? So I've done a throw. It could be from here, and I've stepped through, thrown, and there's my punch. I've maintained hold, drive. Still shows as an X. It's no longer that block motion. Now it's a punch. It can be a choke. Okay? So we have what I refer to as the lawnmower choke, where if you're down on that ground, you've got the person, you swim around and you pull back. All right? It cuts across here. So I'd be here, I hold onto that sweatshirt, I loop around, I grab a hold of their sweatshirt, and I pull as a stand-up choke. Well, there's a high X. If the person's laying down, it's the same thing. The low. So sometimes it's that position. And then it shows we move in the kata into a different position. All right? One. That's just, could be me getting around, getting that choke, and pulling it in. Okay? Lots of applications that can be taken from blocks to in-close practical defense. All right? There's always something to be said for distance and keeping the opponent away. But a lot of times when a surprise or an attack or something happens, we don't have this much space. If we did, we'd use our other distance methods to get the person away. Right? We'd shout out, we'd call for attention. Hey, no, I don't want that. Right? These are the surprise moments. They come in and, oh, hey, I'm in close. Okay, my block isn't going to work. They're throwing a barrage of attacks. I need to be able to react. Okay, so come around, hit, one, pull it down, two. Okay, so that's our up close, our side of things. Start trying to think of your techniques. What else could they be? Chicken block, I referred to earlier, where we use the top of the hand or the beak, right, and come up. That also makes a really good strike. This is really hard. So the same way you would throw a Heido, you can come across this way and strike in. And come under the jaw and strike. All right, change the angle a little bit, come through. I know it looks like some of the stuff you would do in either Kung Fu, those types of movements. It's the same as our karate movement, right? We're driving up. If that punch is coming in or that arm is there, we're coming up to control it and wrapping around as a hold. So lots of trapping, lots of gripping, lots of in-close dirt grip that all of these different movements could be.